Hey guys, Angus here. Today we've got the video review of the A&K Magpul Masada Airsoft AEG. If you're interested in purchasing this gun, there'll be a link down below in the description to airsoftstation.com where you can buy this product for about $275. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this review. Let's start off this review by going over the gun's packaging. As you can tell right from the get-go, the box this gun comes in is not nearly as exciting as the Masada itself, which is a cardboard box with a bright sticker on it. However, when you slide off that cardboard, you'll see the gun sandwiched in between two pieces of white styrofoam. It's packaged fairly well. I don't think anything's going to shift around in transit. Inside the box, you have a bright pink warning and precaution sheet, one 300-round PMag style M4 magazine, the Masada's handguard, your flip-up rear sight, as well as the handguard retaining pin, a front sight post adjustment tool and a small screwdriver, a bag of maybe 200 rather low-quality BBs, a bright orange muzzle cap, a dejamming rod, and of course the A&K Magpul Masada Airsoft AEG itself, shown here with the handguard installed and the magazine inserted. Now, as usual, before we get into the action here, I just want to cover the external and internal quality on the Masada. First things first, you can not only buy this in black, you can also purchase it in tan on Airsoft Station. In my opinion, the tan looks a little bit better. In my opinion, the Masada is just one of those guns that has to be tan to look good. The black looks alright, but I'm definitely a preferrer of the tan coloring. Anyway, getting into the external quality here, the gun's actually built rather well externally. There are a couple metal pieces on here, however the majority of the construction is of polymer, which is kind of to be expected. The metal pieces include your outer barrel, your 20mm rail up top, your iron sights, your magazine release, as well as all the body pins and retaining pins on the gun. So nothing cheap there, nothing that's really going to break, and those important parts that basically hold the gun together. The rest of the weapon is primarily composed of a polymer component. That's kind of what you expect. You buy those Magpul MOE upgrades for your M4, they're polymer. So if you buy the Magpul Masada, it's going to be polymer. Handguard's polymer, upper and lower receiver are polymer, pistol grips polymer, your magazine's made of a rough polymer, a little bit cheaper, and the stock system is composed of polymer as well, with a nice serrated rubber butt pad on the stock there for comfort when gripping onto your shoulder. Overall though, that construction's rather good. A lot of people tend to complain about polymer, but it's actually rather nice on the gun, makes it a lot lighter, a lot more maneuverable, and overall it's just probably as durable as metal, maybe a little bit less. The only real cheap piece externally would be the blazing orange flash hider on the front of the barrel. If you live in the United States, this will come on the end of the gun. It's made of a cheaper plastic, but even that's fairly solid. Now moving on to the internals of this weapon, I believe it's a metal version 2 gearbox, metal gears, all the typical stuff you're going to expect. Typical A&K internals, they're alright, they're kind of in the middle. The one thing I'd complain about on this gun is maybe the motor's not too good, which is typical of A&K. You might want to go ahead and replace that so you get a little bit of a better rate of fire out of the Masada. Another thing to mention, this gun does have a quick change barrel system. In addition to that, you get some solid externals, primarily composed of polymer, and some decent internals. So overall, internal quality looks pretty good on the Masada. Another quick note about the gun's externals is that located on the left side of the gun's upper receiver is a bright and shiny Magpul sticker. Nothing on there permanently, but hey, it looks nice right out of the box. Now one last thing before we get into the action clips here, it's very important you do this before you get into the game, and that's install your battery. Now the battery compartment on the A&K Masada, you guys caught a glimpse of it earlier in the packaging portion of the video, is inside the gun's handguard. In order to access your battery compartment, you first want to remove this body pin. Once you've slid it out, set it off to the side, and you can slide the handguard off like so. Depending on if you have a battery inside or not, it might be a little bit more difficult. As you can see, this battery fits in there very well, and I'd 100% recommend it. This is a Tenergy 7.4 volt, 1600 milliamp LiPo battery that I would definitely recommend, as it fits in perfectly well. The battery's actually stored in this hollow compartment inside the handguard. The barrel here, you do get a quick glimpse of the quick change barrel system here. Covers up most of the inside of the handguard, however there's a narrow space to fit a battery underneath. Many nunchuck batteries, those thicker types, they tend to not really want to fit, as I've had experience trying different batteries over the past couple days. But this LiPo certainly fits rather well. When you have your battery plugged into the small type connector attached to the gun, you'd simply reverse the process and slide the handguard over carefully back into place. And once you've done that, you can simply replace the body pin and the handguard is secured into place. Overall, I found the Masada's battery compartment to be pretty nice, seeing that it can hold a small battery, but in this end, a powerful battery as a 7.4 volt LiPo. So the battery compartment is actually pretty nice. Now once you've gone ahead and got your battery installed, obviously you can go ahead and fire the Masada. How do you access these different fire modes? Via the fire selector switch, of course, which is ambidextrous, being located not only on the right side here, but also on the left side of the gun shown here. Now this is your standard dial style selector, and when facing towards the front of the gun and on the crossed out bullet setting, obviously the gun is on safety. When you pull the trigger, nothing's going to happen because, well, trigger can't be pulled, it's on safe. If you were to flip it up, one notch that it's facing towards the sky, the weapon is now on semi-auto. Each time you pull the trigger, one BB will be fired. And if you were to finally flip that switch all the way back to the final notch, so it was sort of facing towards the shooter, the weapon is on full auto. Like I said, the gun has a decent rate of fire on full auto. Overall, the selector is actually pretty nice. It does require a little bit of force to move, so it's not loose and it's not going to be slipping between settings, which I really like. It's overall a solid selector switch. Now moving onward from the fire selector switch, you've got another important piece here, that being your magazine. Now just like the fire selector switch and a lot of the other stuff on this gun, the magazine release is ambidextrous, not only being located on the right side, but also the left side. It's simply a large button that you push in like so, and your magazine will release. Now the included magazine is pretty nice. It's in the PMag style. It's not actually a licensed, PMag if you're really into that, but it is in the PMag style, and it actually looks pretty cool in going with the Masada. It's just a standard high cap. BBs would feed through the top, and you'd also fill the reservoir through the trap door in the top, and you'd wind the gear at the bottom in order to make the BBs feed upward. It holds 300 rounds, which is typical of your standard M4 high caps, and there is even a clear window in the side so you can go ahead, look in, and see how many BBs you have left if they're getting to that low critical level. Overall, the best BBs for this gun to put in this mag, I'd say .25s. It was very accurate with those. And someone actually commented they were questioning if it fed well on the high caps. Personally, I didn't have any feeding issues. It fed just like any other M4, actually rather well. What's nice about this weapon is that it has an overall advantage that's extremely nice to see in your Airsoft AEGs. It takes M4 mags. That's great. A lot of people in the field anymore, they use those AR style weapons, and that's good because, hey, you need a spare mag and just talk to your teammate who's got an M4, say, toss one over, and this gun is compatible with M4 mags. However, personally, I have to say it does look very nice with the P mags. When the mag's inserted, there's not really any wobble, maybe a little bit, but overall, the mag's in there rather well, and it feeds pretty darn good. Moving onward to the top of the gun, what about the iron sights? Well, the iron sights in the Masada are flip-up sights. In order to flip them up, you simply give a quick push to a button or push on one a little bit. And when they're flipped up, they look like this. Overall, the iron sights in this gun are actually fairly nice. I have more complaints with the rear one than I do the front one. The rear one's kind of weird, it's sticky, it's just a small pinhole aperture that you'd look through to line up with the front sight post. It does have an adjustment here if you wanted to go ahead and adjust it for the number of yards or meters there. But overall, the thing I find most annoying about it is that it really doesn't want to stay down when you try and flip it. And it's just overall fairly kind of annoying to me. It is adjustable for windage. You can turn this big gear here to turn it from left to right, which is nice. You can adjust the rear sight just like you can adjust the front sight. Now the front sight is just basically a sight post that you can adjust via the included front sight post adjustment tool. It's there so you can line up that pinhole aperture in the rear with the sight post up front, take aim, and fire. Overall, the iron sights are actually very accurate to the gun, and I don't say this very often, but I actually do really like them. They're pretty nice iron sights. I especially like the flip up and flip down feature because that way you can also make use of the very long 20mm rail up top. That's great because if you don't like the iron sights, you can go ahead and put really any optic you want on here. My recommendation, a nice EOTech replica would really look nice on this weapon. And like I said, with the iron sights flipped down, you can still use that EOTech. Say your battery dies, you can simply flip up your sights and you're ready to go. Alright, now one of my favorite features on the A&K Masada is its stock because it looks interesting and it's also practical. This stock not only folds, it also extends and shortens to fit the comfort of the user. As you can see, currently it's extended to the longest of its 7 positions. And why it's like that? Well, it's the most comfortable for me. I'm a taller guy, I've got longer arms, and I'm also in a situation here where I wouldn't need a short weapon, so it's very comfortable to have it at that extended position. But say you're someone a little bit shorter, got shorter arms, you're in a tight situation where you need a shorter weapon, you can simply squeeze in the buttons on the side and slide the stock forward like so to its shortest position. Like I said, for me, not exactly the most comfortable thing to hold, but if you're a shorter guy, hey, that works out. You can be comfortable with this gun as well. Also, it is a 7-position stock, therefore there's all kinds of positions in between that you can go ahead and adjust it to, whether you're extending it or shortening it. I do enjoy that feature of the stock. Another nice feature is the fact that it does fold over for those other tight situations. You simply fold it by pushing in a large button on the left side, and it folds over like so. What this would be practical for is, say, maybe you're in a CQB style game, you want a shorter weapon to shoot around corners with, or just for storage purposes, you have a smaller gun bag or a gun case, you want to store it like this, be a little bit easier. One complaint though, if you're in a game you're running, this stock is not very secure when it's folded, as it's really not latching onto anything. So besides that complaint about when it folds, I really do like the stock on the Masada. Like on many Airsoft replicas, pulling back the gun's charging handle does serve a purpose. That purpose, of course, being that it allows you to reveal your gun's hop-up unit and also kick in the gun's functional bolt catch. Now the hop-up unit on this gun is a little bit different. It's not in that typical gear style. What it actually is a clear plastic sliding piece, and it's actually rather nice. I found this hop-up unit to be very effective, definitely added some range, put those BBs right on target. Since it's not a gear, how it works is essentially just slide a small piece towards the front of the gun for more hop and backwards for less hop. Like I said, hop-up's pretty effective. Also, the functional bolt catch allows you to not have to hold the charging handle back when you're adjusting your hop-up. You don't have to do anything. It'll hold it back, and it is a lot easier to work on your hop-up. If you wanted to release the bolt catch, simply push down on this piece here. At that point, dust cover snaps shut, and you can get ready to fire. Alright, so we've gone ahead and covered pretty much all the features in the A&K Masada, so let's go ahead and get into the final conclusion of this review. I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet because there's really not too much for me to complain about. I actually really did like the A&K Masada. Things I could grieve about though would be the battery compartment. It's a little tight. Yes, it does hold that nice battery, 7.4 volt LiPo, rather well, but I wish it was a bit bigger so that way I could go ahead and house a larger milliamp battery, large type battery, etc. One that'll give me a good battery life and a solid rate of fire. So battery space, a little bit tight and a little bit cramped in there. The rear sight was kind of annoying to me. It didn't want to stay down like I said, but that might just be me. It would spring up occasionally, randomly, when I didn't want it to, so kind of annoying in my personal opinion. The stock, also, I don't care for the fact that when it folded over, it was very loose, wanted to fold undone. I could see somebody running, really need that stock folded, it just comes on, clacks back into position, they go up, accidentally knock themselves in the face because they think they're going to be holding a gun that's short, easy to shoot around a corner with when the stock's really extended. Finally, the other thing I'm really going to complain about will probably be the internals. They're alright, they're decent, they're what I expected at A&K. The rate of fire kind of kills the gun for me. I wish it was a little bit higher. It's got a perfectly respectable rate of fire, but the motor's not too good, and I really would recommend you upgrade that so you can go ahead get a little bit better out of a rate of fire out of a very nice gun like this. But otherwise, the Masada's built very well. It's got a great external quality on it, some solid features. I love the fact it can take M4 mags. Guys who don't realize that is a huge advantage when in the airsoft field. The stock is very cool. Not only does it extend and shorten, it also folds, except like I said, doesn't want to stay over too well. And also, get a nice rail up here so you can go ahead, add some optics, in addition to the very nice functional bolt catch. Now overall, I would recommend this to anybody who's looking for an M4 style gun. They want it to take M4 mags, they want it to be similar in weight and length to an M4, but they want something that looks unique. And the Masada, frankly, I haven't seen one in the airsoft field in a very long time. This might actually be a gun I'd have to add to my personal collection. So with that being said, guys, this has been Deathcore Airsoft's review of the A&K Magpul Masada. I think it's a great gun, solid performance, and definitely some nice features and build. So thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe.